September 23, 2009. The city slumbers peacefully under the pre-dawn sky, unaware that chaos is about to erupt. At the break of dawn, while most residents dream on, the Swedish police are already in a frenzy, racing toward the Västberga district. Why? An unidentified helicopter has just touched down on the roof of Stockholm's largest cash depot, the G4S repository, a fortress holding a staggering $150 million in cold, hard cash. This isn't a drill. This is the heist of the century, unfolding in real time. Meanwhile, across town, a Swedish police helicopter crew jolts awake to an emergency call crackling over the radio. All units, provide immediate air support, now! The pilot Anders Johannes doesn't hesitate. He and his team leap into action, piling into their vehicle and tearing toward the hangar, a few hundred yards away. Tires screech as they skid to a stop at the entry gate. Anders jumps out, adrenaline pumping, ready to fling open the gate, when something stops him dead in his tracks. There, by the hangar doors, sits a mysterious box, a red light blinking ominously atop it. A chill runs down his spine. Is this a trap? The crew exchanges wary glances before creeping closer, hearts pounding. As they inspect it, the truth hits. It's a bomb, or at least, it's supposed to look like one. The word bomb is scrawled across it in bold letters, almost comically obvious. But here's the kicker. It's a fake. No explosion, no fireball, just a decoy. Yet this little prop is about to unleash more havoc than any real detonation in Sweden's history. Why? Because it's a distraction, a brilliantly wicked move to keep the police grounded while the real crime unfolds miles away. Cut back to the G4S cash repository. It's a Friday and the weekend looms. Banks, offices, and ATMs across Stockholm will soon be clamoring for cash. The facility is buzzing at peak capacity, its vaults brimming with millions. Armored trucks idle in the basement, waiting to ferry their precious cargo across the city. Inside, Oscar Lindgren, the night shift commander, oversees a team of 22. Half a dozen staff shuffle papers in the office, while Lindgren and a handful of others toil in the secure cash counting room on the 6th floor. The rhythmic hum of money counters fills the air, slicing through the stillness of the Swedish night. But at around 5 a.m., something shifts. The machine's steady drone grows louder. No, different. The staff exchange puzzled looks. Is that the trucks revving up? Someone mutters. Then the windows start to rattle, a low vibration building into a violent shudder. Lindgren barks an order. Shut off the counters now! The room falls silent, but the noise doesn't stop. It's coming from outside. Confused and on edge, the team scrambles to find the source. Lindgren bolts from the cash room, racing toward the skylight gallery, a glass pyramid crowning the building. He peers up and freezes. Hovering just above, a red and white helicopter looms like a predator, its blades slicing the air with deafening force. The staff gapes in disbelief. This isn't some routine flyover. There's no helipad here. A helicopter this low over a cash depot. It defies all logic. But logic isn't at play tonight. As Lindgren stares, the truth dawns on him, cold and terrifying. This is no accident. The chopper isn't just hovering, it's delivering. Masked men, armed and ready, are poised to drop from the sky. They're not here to negotiate. They're here to take everything. Imagine the scene. A peaceful city on the brink of mayhem, a fake bomb throwing the police into chaos, and a helicopter full of thieves about to pull off the impossible. The G4S heist isn't just a robbery, it's a masterclass in audacity. What happens next? How do they get in? How do they get out? And can the police stop them before $150 million vanishes into the dawn? Hang on tight. This story's just getting started. Imagine a plan so daring, so wild, it's almost too crazy to believe. A heist where the intention? To steal as much cash as possible, then vanish into the breaking dawn. And Lindgren, the prime witness to it all, couldn't stop wondering, how do you even get yourself a helicopter to pull this off? It all started a few weeks before the big day. Two men meet at the docks of Skeppsholmen Island in Stockholm. The air's thick with tension, the water lapping against the pier. A few minutes later, a third man arrives, Goran Bojic. He sits down with the others, his eyes sharp, his voice low. "Prepare your minds for something big," he says. "I'm planning a business, a big business." He leans in closer. "I know a place stuffed with cash, and the only way in, the only way out, it's from above." The other two blink, exchanging glances. "How are we going to do that?" one asks, skepticism dripping from his words. Bojic doesn't flinch. With a straight face, he replies, "I'll get the helicopter. You guys, you do the groundwork." What follows is a whirlwind of detailed discussion, wild ideas bouncing around like sparks. By the time they leave the dock, the plan's taking shape, and it's insane. Hours later, Bojic's on the move. He gets in touch with a man named Milan Sio, a former Tome Mafia figure who traded the streets of chaos for a quieter life in Belgrade. Bojic calls him up. "Milan, I need logistical support for a mission I'm planning." No hesitation, no small talk. He drives straight to the airport, hops a flight to Belgrade, and meets Sio in person. Over the next few days, Bojic's a ghost, flying to several countries, tying up loose ends before slipping back into Sweden. Back in Stockholm, he tracks down Cheryl Shar, the same guy he met earlier on Skepshelman Island. Char's got a past. Petty thefts landed him in jail. But now, he's a school teacher in southern Stockholm, living straight. Or so he thought. Bojic has other plans. "Char," he says, "I need you to buy 5 prepaid phones. We're setting up a secure network for the operation." Char doesn't argue. He grabs the phones, hands them over to Bojic, who distributes them to the crew. Each man getting his assignment, each phone a lifeline to the heist. One of those crew members? Nima Alec. Bojic hands him a phone and a mission. "Nima," he says, voice steady, "I need you to investigate helicopters. But not just any helicopters, police helicopters." He tells Nima to drive to a base in Midding, where the Swedish police keep their birds. Nima scopes it out like a hawk, the active hours, the pilot's routines, when they lock up the hangar and head back to their barracks. Every detail's gold, and he feeds it all back to Bojic. Bojic doesn't waste time. He calls Sio again. "Preparations are done," he says, his tone electric. "The mission? It's a go." Fast forward to September 23rd, 2009. It's 2:30 a.m., pitch black. Nima Alec's hiding in the woods just outside the heliport, heart pounding. He waits for the last flight to land. Minutes tick by, then it happens. The bird touches down. The pilots shut it off, lock up the hangar, climb into their car, and drive off to their barracks. The second they're gone, Nima bolts. He crosses the empty, dark road, adrenaline surging, and plants 2 bombs, one on each side of the hangar doors. He sprints back to the shadows, checks his work, and calls Bojic. "Bombs are in place," he whispers. "We're clear." Meanwhile, 100 miles north of Stockholm, chaos erupts. 4 masked men storm a commercial hangar in Norell. They drag a Bell 206 Jet Ranger helicopter out onto the tarmac, muscles straining, breath heavy. They fire it up, rotors slicing the air, and at 4:43 a.m., that chopper lifts off. Up in the sky, Swedish radar picks up the blip. They're watching, but they don't know what's coming. By 5 a.m., the helicopter's flying low and slow toward the Västberga district. A few early risers on the ground spot it, a low-flying beast cutting through the dawn. It's heading straight for G4S, the cash depot. Inside, Oscar Lindgren and his staff freeze. Loud sounds, heavy vibrations. It's no ordinary morning. "What the hell is that?" Lindgren snaps. He tells the staff, "Turn off the cash counters." He storms out of the cash room, heading for the skylight atrium to investigate. And that's when it all explodes into motion. The helicopter hovers above, the crew's ready, and Lindgren's about to witness something he'll never forget. A heist from the sky, cash raining down, dawn breaking, and Bojic's wild dream coming to life. Picture this. It's 5:15 a.m., the sky still cloaked in darkness, when suddenly a red and white chopper roars into view. It hovers right over the skylight pyramid of the G4S complex, its spotlight slicing through the black, damp roof of the building below. The air hums with tension as the pilot, cool as ice, skillfully lands that bird between the skylight and the edge of the rooftop. A perfect touchdown. Three men leap out, boots hitting the ground with purpose. One of them, he's gripping a sledgehammer, and he's not wasting time. Wham! He swings it hard, smashing into the glass with a ferocity that echoes through the dawn. The other two, they're busy untangling two 20-foot ladders strapped to the side of the chopper, tools of their daring plan. After a few bone-rattling strikes, the glass finally gives way. Crash! Shattering into a million glittering pieces. With the path cleared, they lower the ladders through the jagged hole and climb down, descending into the central atrium like shadows on a mission. Inside, Lindgren, poor Lindgren, watches in total disbelief, his jaw practically on the floor. He bolts back to the cash room, heart pounding, and slams his hand on the panic alarm. "Get me the head of security, now!" he yells, voice trembling. The alarm screams out, and the Swedish police catch the signal from G4S headquarters. Patrol cars screech into action, racing toward the scene. Back at the complex, the three men aren't slowing down. Boom! They blow out the bulletproof glass of an adjacent wall with a blast that shakes the building. They step through the smoking wreckage, boots crunching on debris, and find themselves just feet away from the cash room's steel door. No hesitation. They attack it with raw force, breaking it open like it's nothing. Inside, the staff members scramble out in a panic, huddling in a corner of the floor, praying for safety. The crew? They're in their element now. With a buzz saw screaming to life, they slice through state-of-the-art secure padlocks like butter. Cash, piles of it, starts spilling into their bags as they work fast, hands moving in a blur. Meanwhile, across town, Swedish pilots get the emergency call from HQ. "Air support, now!" The order crackles through. They sprint toward the hangar at the barrier gate, adrenaline pumping, until one pilot freezes. "Wait, what's that?" There's an odd box sitting by the hangar door, a red light blinking ominously. He edges closer, squinting. "It's a bomb," he whispers to his co-pilot, voice tight. "We can't risk it." They retreat, hearts in their throats, waiting for the bomb squad to roll in. On the ground, the Swedish police are closing in, just a few blocks from G4S, when chaos strikes again. Their tires hiss and pop, cars swerving as caltrops and spiked chains litter the streets. It's a trap. Some of the crew must have scattered these nasty surprises, buying precious minutes by stalling the backup. Genius and ruthless. Back at the complex, the heist is wrapping up. Bags bulging with cash, the three men haul their loot up the ladders and pile into the chopper. The pilot yanks the controls, and with a roar, they lift off into the breaking dawn. Police on the ground and Lindgren, still in shock, can only watch, helpless, as the bird vanishes into the sky. No police choppers are in pursuit. Nothing. The helicopter soars free, weaving through the air like a phantom. It makes two quick stops, dropping off crew members at separate locations. Poof, they're gone. Finally, it touches down in the woods north of Stockholm, deep in Täby. The pilot steps out, cool as ever, abandons the chopper among the trees, and just walks away. Later, the bomb squad arrives at the hangar, sweating bullets, only to find, what? A couple of cheap toolbox boxes rigged with 9-volt batteries and a blinking bulb. A fake-out. The Swedish authorities are left reeling, drowning in disbelief. And the capital city? It's hit with a sudden crippling cash shortage. The heist of a lifetime. And they pulled it off right under everyone's nose. Hunt down the goose. You see, the Swedish authorities, especially the National Criminal Investigation Department, ERKP for short, had the idea about a big robbery in Stockholm months before it actually happened. But somehow, they ignored it. Can you believe that? Goran Boj, the prime suspect in the heist, was no ordinary man. The crime detail at the RKP had long suspected him of cooking something big, something audacious. The Serbian ministry, through diplomatic channels, had alerted Swedish authorities about Boj AC, especially when he got in touch with Swedish mafia man Milan Sio. Sio was no ordinary man either, and it was a general assumption that any person having links with Sio cannot be an ordinary or innocent person. Suspicious, right? So the RKP had been bugging Bocci's car and tapping his phone from the get-go. They were on him like hawks, However, they couldn't establish a solid link that could prove his involvement in the heist. Frustrating, isn't it? But still, the authorities had to start somewhere. After digging more into the intel provided by Serbian authorities, the RKP did find a communication exchange between Beojuj and CEO discussing a major heist, one that would involve a helicopter. A helicopter. Can you picture that? The RKP now had a trail, and the mission to chase down the goose was on the shoulders of their lead investigator, Jonas Hildby. Hildby was skilled in geographical profiling, an investigation technique in criminology where investigators analyze crime locations to determine the most likely area of an offender's residence and close-by communications. Smart stuff, huh? Fortunately, it was easy for Hildby to build a phone network profile that was active during the hours of the heist, because most of the city was asleep. Only roughly 18,000 phones were active during that time, which is significantly less than the millions buzzing during the daytime. Still, finding a homogeneous pattern in call networks, called a closed network loop or circuit, was like finding a needle in a haystack. A closed network circuit is basically a bunch of phones that talk to each other, and to each other only. Out of thousands of network webs, finding a pattern is only possible if those few devices have only contacted each other during particular hours. If even one or two devices contact too much out of the network, the pattern breaks and gets lost in the web. Tricky, right? But here's the twist. Fortunately for Hildby's team, they did manage to find a closed circuit that was operating during the hours of the heist and only communicated with each other. Remember this. BoJC asked Cheryl Chabo to buy 5 prepaid phones days before the heist. Those 5 phones, plus 8 others, created a miniature network. They were super active on the day of the heist, and after the heist, all went dead. Silent. That was the clear indication these could be the devices used in the mission and could lead to the prime suspect. The tension's building, isn't it? Hildby's team created timestamp profiles of the major phones in the network and solved a particular pattern. At 2:55 a.m., Phone 1 calls Phone 5 from Mink Police Heliport, where Nima Alec reports a police chopper's last flight. Then at 3:13 a.m., Phone 2 calls Phone 5 from Naral, where the red and white Bell 206 helicopter was stolen. Between 3 and 4 a.m., Phones 8, 11, 12, and 13 contact Phone 5 from the Vesta area, where other crew members laid caltrops and spike chains, nasty traps to slow down anyone chasing them. And at 4:38 a.m., Phone 2 contacts Phone 5 again. And now, airborne at 4:43, Phone 3 and Phone 7 called Phone 5 from Canaan Beach, informing them the beach was cleared to land and received the payload, sometime between 4:43 and 5:02. Phone 5 and Phone 2 got an immediate proximity alert and are airborne. At 5:13 a.m., Phone 1 contacted Phone 5 again to report fake bombs were in place. By 5:50, Phone 2 and Phone 7 made their final calls to Phone 5, and then silence. The rest of the phones went dark. This layer of the network gave detailed pictures to H. Tobe's team, exact locations, precise timings of the operation. Now they had to connect the dots, associating these phones with real people. Here's where it gets juicy. Phone 2 was active in Noral when the highest helicopter was stolen. So the investigators dug in, preparing a list of people who owned personal helicopters in Stockholm and parked them in Nal's commercial hangar. Out of many names, one popped up, Alexander Eriksson. Why? Because Eriksson had his chopper registered to an address in U, not far from Noral. At first, nothing obvious linked Eriksson to the heist. But then, an investigator struck gold. They found a car's address matching Eriksson's helicopter address in U. And get this, an undercover cop had been tailing Goran Bach months before the heist. She'd seen him meet 2 others at Skepsholmen Island. She ran the car's number plate, the one Bach arrived in with another man, and bingo, too many coincidences to ignore. Eriksson was now tied to the case. The evidence was stacking up, and the Swedish police went full throttle on their prime suspect. They arrested Bojovic at his apartment, huge sums of cash stuffed in his closet. The next day, they nabbed Eriksson at the airport, mid-escape to the Canary Islands. In the days that followed, Charo got busted for the phones he'd bought for the heist back in the summer of 2010. Then DNA reports rolled in, positive for a guy named Safak Kadum. He'd cut his hand climbing a ladder during the job. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration tipped off his location, and he was hauled in from the Dominican Republic. In the coming months, more than 10 people were convicted and charged for the heist of the G4S repository. But here's the twist. Namana Alex, whose DNA was found on half-buried gloves in the bushes near Midding Heliport, escaped conviction. His defense? Someone borrowed his gloves and lighter, and he never got them back. Clever, right? And the money? Out of $5 million, only a fraction was found in Bach's apartment. The rest? Still a mystery, lost in the shadows of this wild, high-stakes heist.